Gym Jeremy here, and I want to take you through the 4 basic punches: jab, cross, hook, and uppercut, and we're getting started right now. Now, before we jump right into those punches, let's talk first about making a proper fist and a proper guarding stance. So, proper fist, we want to have our hands, go ahead and bring your hands up like this, fingers together, curl your fingers over just like that, and tuck your thumb. Lay your thumb right over the top. You don't want your thumb on the inside. You also don't want your thumb sticking up like this. You want to make sure your thumb is down here and protected, and that your fingers are also rolled in nice and tight. Okay. Now, moving on to our guarding stance, as we stand here, we want to make sure that our hands are up and our elbows are in. Now, you may notice that my Fitbit over here is on what's usually on my left hand. On the video, what I did was I flipped it horizontally, and what that means is on your screen, my left hand should be right in front of your left hand. And if we're facing each other, like in the classroom, my left hand would be in front of your right hand. So for the purposes of following along and doing it with the same side, I'm like your mirror image right now. I know that would be terrifying to look in a mirror and see me, but I'm your mirror image right now. My left hand is going to be on the left side of your screen, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and say left hand, and that means your left hand, okay? So let's do this. Ready? So step back in your guarding stance. You got your hands up. You've got your elbows in nice and tight, okay? So we're going to get into those punches, but before we do, we're going to check out our foot position. So the way I would recommend that we place our feet is about shoulder width apart, right? You go ahead and step back with one foot, have your hands up, elbows in, take your back foot, your heels up off the ground, and your knees are slightly bent, okay? From the side, it would look like this. Your knees are slightly bent, your back heel is up off the ground, okay? So you should be able to, at this point, you should be able to push with your back foot. Your heel's not all the way up. It's just up enough to where it's nice and springy, okay? You should be able to push forward. You should be able to push back. And you should be able to push side to side if need be, okay? So that's our foot position. So when we drop back into our guarding stance, we're going to step back with either our right or our left. Most of the time, we'll step back with our right foot. We're going to step back with our right foot, right? Hands up, elbows in, and keep your head slightly down, okay? You want to keep our head slightly down. I'm not talking about looking at the floor. I'm just talking about down just enough to where your neck is kind of anchored into your shoulders and your jaw is down and hidden behind those hands, okay? So that's our good guarding stance. We're going to go ahead and jump into some of the details on the punches and the footwork that goes along with those, all right? All right, the first punch, we've got our hands up, we've got our elbows in, we've got our head down slightly, we've got a good fist, is going to be our jab. So taking that left hand, I want you to extend that punch out. So as you do, watch, the hand is going to rotate downward. And look, I'm focusing these two big knuckles right there. I'm focusing those two knuckles forward, and I've also pushed my shoulder forward. Now bring that hand back. Right now, let's do that again, nice and slow, and then bring it back. So slow motion is going to allow you to really focus in on all those details, right? Sometimes when we go really fast, we miss something, okay? So nice and slow. 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. Now back to here. We're going to throw our cross. We can throw a right cross from this position. We don't have to throw a jab first. We can start with our cross. So hands up. You're going to pivot your hips and extend that punch out there. Again, reaching with those two big knuckles. The other hand is going to stay by your face. You're going to throw your shoulder. Your shoulder is going to be the start of that. It pushes that arm out there, and then we bring it back. Right? Pushes that arm out. And look at the other hand. It stays up. Again. Ready? Yes. Extend that arm out there. Again, focusing on those two big knuckles. Rotate your hips and shoulders. 3 more. 1, 2, 3. There's your right cross. Moving on. The next one is going to be a hook. So with our hands up, we're going to do the left hook first. You can do a hook with either hand, but we're going to focus on the left one for right now, just for the purposes of this video. So elbow up. Your choice right here as to whether you go palm down or whether you go palm in. My wrist likes palm in a little bit more. Palm down is another good option. Okay, so when I'm punching in the air, I usually go palm down just because it allows me to make sure that my elbow is up and perpendicular. That means straight in or 90 degrees to my target. So hands up, I lift my elbow up, I rotate my hips, boom, and I come back. It's a pretty short range punch. So again, pivot those hips and come back. Remember, pivot those hips and come back. Pivot those hips, come back. Let's do 3 more. 1, 2, last one, 3. The fourth punch is going to be uppercut. Now we've gone over jab, we've gone over cross, we've gone over hook. Uppercut's going to be the next one. I think uppercut is one of the more challenging ones for people to get because we have a tendency to want to reach our hand down. We don't want to do that. All right. What we want to do is keep our hand by our face and dip with our knees. Right. So we bend our knees, keeping our hand by our face. Then we stand up into the punch. We stand up, and as we stand up, we pivot our body. We rotate our hip and shoulders into that punch. So hands up, ready to dip those knees, keep your body up, now pivot and stand. Right? Again, dip, pivot, and stand. Ready? Dip, pivot, and stand. Dip, pivot, and stand. Dip, pivot, and stand. One more, ready? Dip, pivot, and stand into that punch, okay? We're gonna go ahead and widen the view a little bit here. So we're gonna go over those 4 punches again, but this time we're gonna do it with footwork involved. We're gonna show the step that happens on the jab and then the pivoting that happens on the cross, the hook, and the uppercut, okay? Okay, so footwork on our punches. So when we do the 4 basic punches, yes, turning your hips and shoulders is gonna be key, but also moving your feet. Moving your feet is gonna allow you to get your weight behind those punches and also to allow you to move as you do these. You don't want to just be standing in one place because then you're kind of an easy target. So hands up, elbows in, ready? Remember, back heel is slightly up off the ground. Right, we're going to take our front foot and we're going to push with our back foot. Push with your back foot, step the front foot forward, and then come back. Step the front foot forward and come back. This is called a half step. So if you happen to be reading through your curriculum and you see half step on there, that's what this is. It's a half step. It's a pretty small, short range thing. Right? But what it is going to allow us to do, it's going to allow us to throw our jab. It's going to allow us to close the distance between our hand now and our target, okay? So from the side, I'm going to do it from the side. So I got my hands up, right? I'm going to take a step with my front foot, step and come back, step and come back, step and come back. Now here's how it works with a jab. So the way it works with the jab is as I'm stepping, my foot's hitting the ground and my punch is happening at the same time. So I push with my back foot, I step and I punch, right? I move that front foot. Remember, I drive the shoulder and the hips just the same as we did when we were close up. But right now we're a little farther away, so you're going to see the whole thing happening at once, right? So step and jab and then come back, ready? Step and jab and then come back. So you're stepping toward the camera, you're stepping toward the screen each time. I'm stepping toward the camera. You're stepping toward the screen. There you go, there you go. Boom. So from the side it will look like this. Boom. I'm stepping and I'm throwing my jab. See, I'm extending my shoulder and keeping the other hand up, and then come back. Boom. And then come back. 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and back. Okay, moving on. We're going to throw the cross. So hands are up, elbows are in. If we're doing the cross by itself, we have to actually combine a little bit more. So we could just focus on that motion right there. Or we could take a small step and then pivot into that punch. Okay, whichever way you want to do it right now, I'm going to leave that up to you, but I'm going to show you both ways. So one way we can do it is just by focusing on the pivot. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my back heel and I'm going to pivot. I'm going to twist that back foot. See, twist that back foot. I don't want to roll my foot. I don't want to roll up onto my toes like that. I want to keep the ball of my foot anchored into the ground as if I was pushing something heavy. Okay, so I got my hands up. I'm going to pivot my foot so my heel's up off the ground, and I throw my right shoulder, boom, into the punch, and come back, boom, into the punch, boom. 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and back. Now, let's add the step in there. So we're going to take the half step that we would have for the jab. We're going to step and twist, right? Step and pivot into that cross. Boom, that heel's up off the ground. Ready? Boom, that heel's up off the ground. Boom, that shoulder drives in there. Boom, that hip rotates. Boom, we're focused on those first 2 knuckles. That's your cross. Moving on to the hook. The hook, we're going to do kind of the same thing. We're going to focus on the pivot first, okay? So hands up, right? That elbow comes up. Now, the front heel is the one that's going to pivot. You'll notice if you try to pivot into your punch and you don't lift that foot up, that heel doesn't come up, you're anchored into the ground and there's only so much you can pivot into the punch. So if you want to open up your hips and you want to open up the power into that hook, you've got to rotate that heel up off the ground, okay? Now you don't have to take your hook and reach too far out to the side. Just keep that elbow bent, boom, and just pivot. Ready? Pivot. Right? Heel up, pivot. It's a real small punch. Pivot. Ready? Pivot. That heel up. Gosh. Keep that elbow up. Boom. Keep that elbow up. Boom. One more. Bam. Okay, we're moving on to the uppercut. Okay, so I'm going to show you the uppercut from the front and from the side. So uppercut, remember we have our hands up. Remember how I said we dip our body, we bend our knees? Now you can actually see my knees, okay? And the back heel is going to do the same pivot that we did for the cross. The heel's going to come up off the ground, and it's going to be like you're pushing into something heavy. But this time you're lifting and pushing. So hands up. Ready? So you bend your knees, lift, boom. Lift up and pivot. Ready? Bend your knees, lift and twist. Ready? Keep those hands in. Boom, lift and twist. Hands up, elbows in, boom, lift and twist. Let's do 3 more from the front, and we'll do a bunch from the side. Ready? Bend and lift. Ready again? Ready? Bend and lift. Again, ready? Bend and lift. One more. Ready? Go. Bend and lift. Now from the side, so that you can see if I'm keeping my hand up or not. All right, so here we go. Ready? So I bend, and then I lift into my punch. Ready? Again. Bend, and then we lift into the punch. Ready? Bend, lift into the punch. Let's do 3 more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Okay, that was a brief tutorial on the 4 basic punches. We've got jab, we've got cross, we've got hook, and we've got uppercut. Now, for this video, I kept saying left and right, but really, if you wanted to, you could switch your stance, and you could put your right hand in front, and you could throw jab with your right, cross with your left, hook with your right. So you could kind of alternate what side is in front, and that also depends on whether you're right-handed or whether you're left-handed, or what the situation calls for. Because sometimes when we're sparring with each other, you might throw a kick and you might land with 1 foot in front, and now you kind of have to throw things from that side, and you don't necessarily always have the luxury of being able to switch back and get comfortable again. So go back through the video, watch for the details, watch for how the fist is positioned, watch for the hand positions, watch for the pivot and the twist, watch for where the punches start and end. And when you're doing boxing combos, those are the exact details that we're looking for when you're throwing those punches. Regardless of what the combo is, those are the 4 basic punches: jab, cross, hook, and uppercut. So again, go back, review the details, get lots of repetition on those, throw a ton of punches, make sure you shadow box. Shadow boxing is just basically practicing punching in the air, right? Just reviewing those and working on the body mechanics. So the more repetition that you get, the better you're going to be at those details, okay? Happy training, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the mats.